Hello, everyone. Welcome to this edition of On Deck with Mercury. I'm Vienna Town Manager Mercury Payton, and tonight's topic is Liberty Amendments Month, which is full of opportunities to celebrate and commemorate the 4 constitutional amendments that helped bring the United States closer to that foundational ideal of being a more perfect union. These are the 13th, 14th, 15th, and 19th Amendments, which granted full citizenship rights to those who were previously excluded from the U.S. Constitution. Tonight's program is being recorded here at the Freeman Store and Museum, which was the site of Vienna's historic vote against secession from the Union. Joining me tonight are Town of Vienna Parks and Recreation Events Coordinator Lily Widman. Hello, Lily. How are you?
I'm good. Hi, Mercury.
Good to see you. And our special guest, Dr. Delores Washington. Hello. Good evening.
How are you?
Doing well, thank you. And Marshall Road Elementary Office Staff Member Jennifer Heflin. How are you this evening?
Great, thanks.
Thanks for taking time out of your busy schedules to sit down with us this evening. And we look forward to hearing about your story, your family stories, as they relate to Liberty Amendments Month commemoration. So welcome to everyone here this evening. But first we'll start off by talking about Liberty Amendments Month this year and all the events going on. And Lily has been leading that effort this year so far, as she has in the past. And we start off with this Saturday's event, Juneteenth, on June 17th, this Saturday. So maybe you can explain what people can expect this Saturday and going forward for the next couple of weeks.
Yeah, absolutely. So this year, Liberty Amendments Month is running June 17th through July 17th. And as you said, we're kicking off at the Juneteenth celebration at First Baptist Church of Vienna. That starts at 11 a.m. Saturday, and it'll run to 3 p.m. And that is also where we're going to do our opening ceremony for Liberty Amendments Month, which should be really exciting. I think you're speaking.
I am speaking just a little bit, just briefly.
Have you be a part of it. We'll also have a keynote speech from Dr. Gregory Washington, who's the president of George Mason University. So that should be a lot of fun. In addition to the opening ceremony, which we hope folks will attend and starts at 12 p.m., the rest of the event's going to feature vendors and food trucks. There'll be kids' activities. There's a kids' book giveaway, which is really popular, with some great children's books about history and Juneteenth. And then there'll also be food trucks and a whole lot of kids' activities. So it's a great event for the whole family.
Excellent. And of course, the month includes our great national celebration of Liberty and Independence Day on the 4th of July. And the town has a lot planned for that event as well. And it's just perfectly placed in the middle of the celebration of Liberty Amendments Month. Maybe tell us a little bit about what we can expect for that celebration of Independence Day.
Sure, absolutely. So yeah, it's a nice tent pole event along with Juneteenth. So just like Juneteenth, we are celebrating Independence Day a few days early this year. It'll be on Sunday, July 2nd. And that's held from 4 to 10 p.m. at Jonas Park, which is owned by Vienna Little League. We partner with them to present that event. And similar to Juneteenth, it's going to be a lot of different activities and engaging fun and chance for the community to come together and learn about the Liberty Amendments Month and history, and also celebrate with music and fireworks. So we'll have kids performers. We'll have a lot of kids activities and games, some really education focused, some kind of just fun focused. We'll have a lot of food trucks. We are going to feature the Earth, Wind, and Fire Tribute Band. And then we'll close it out at 9:30 p.m. with our spectacular 20-minute fireworks show.
Excellent. I think everyone always looks forward to that every year. Our third major activity for the month is our Multicultural Festival, which celebrates the diverse backgrounds that represents our town and that citizens represent. What can people expect with that event?
Sure. So this is our second time doing the Multicultural Festival. We're really excited to bring it back to the town. It's held at the Town Green on July 15th. It's from 3 to 8:30 p.m. We have a pretty packed entertainment schedule, so I'm pretty excited about this. We're going to open up with a Caribbean steel drum dance party. So we'll have an hour and a half performance of a Caribbean steel drum orchestra from Trinidad and Tobago called the Pan Masters. That's going to be super fun. And then we have a storytelling workshop where anyone can come and tell their personal story in a little mandala. You identify 8 different things that you attribute to your story in your life. There'll be African drum and dance performance, and then we're going to close it out with a performance from Kimbao Latin Band, and hopefully some salsa dancing. So it's going to be a fun day. And just like our other kind of tentpole events, we'll be just doing a lot of festive things, a lot of educational opportunities. We'll have vendors, we'll have food trucks, we'll have kids' activities, and we'll have a lot of the Liberty Amendments Month displays and events that we'll talk about a little bit later. We'll be at the Multicultural Festival.
Sure, that's great. And throughout the month, there are opportunities to learn about local history as it relates to Liberty Amendments Month. Tell us a little bit about that aspect of it.
Sure. So this year we have 39 events as a part of Liberty Amendments Month, and some of those are the big, tentpole festival style events that we talked about today, but some of them are museum exhibits, chances for people to go on self-guided tours, Liberty Minutes, a video series which folks can watch on the town's YouTube channel at Vienna VA. At Town of Vienna VA. So there's lots of opportunities for folks to participate in these events on their own time, anytime they'd like to learn a little bit about our constitutional history, about the 13th, 14th, 15th, and 19th Amendments. We're also going to have children's activities each week. And then we have a great educational series that folks can check out in our Liberty Amendments Month calendar and on our website, viennava.gov/liberty. So June 28th, we have an event called Liberty in Libraries, which is going to be a discussion of a book about desegregation in Northern Virginia libraries with the authors, as well as unveiling of the new Patrick Henry Library redesign plans. So that's going to be super fun. That's at the Vienna Community Center.
That's exciting.
Yeah, that's going to be a great one. We also have an actual event on July 4th to celebrate July 4th, which we're excited to do. Since we couldn't do the fireworks that day, we'll have a reading of the foundational documents, and anybody in the public is invited to join us at the community center at 11 a.m. for that one. And then July 12th at 5:45 p.m., we'll have a combination Vienna Business Association mixer and an Empowering Women panel that will also be at the community center. So those are a couple of the key education lecture events, chances for people to come together, talk, share their stories in person.
That's fantastic. And then we also have the Liberty Stories.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
So maybe talk a little bit about what that is.
Yes, thank you. So this is a brand new event project that we're doing this year that we're really excited about, that our friends are here to talk with us about today. So when we held the naturalization ceremony last year, our committee noticed that almost everyone who touched Liberty Amendments Month were sharing stories about how their family came to America, how their family became citizens, what that looked like, what that journey looked like. And it seemed like an opportunity for people to come together and share those stories in a more concrete way. So we created our American Liberty Stories. It was really important that when we gathered these stories that we made this project as inclusive and diverse as possible. So when we asked people to share stories, we didn't just ask for stories of people coming to America or their journeys to America. We wanted to hear from folks who may have come to the country against their will as a part of their family's history, or folks whose families have been here from the beginning. So we asked for the community to share their stories. We got 14 stories. They're going to be displayed in sort of a museum exhibit here at the Freeman Store, as well as at the community center. We'll have them online, and then they'll be in a number of local businesses. So the nice thing about this project is, because we're doing it online, people can continue to share their stories if they'd like to. So we have that forum up. So if folks want to do that, they can go to viennava.gov/story. But we're really excited about these 14 stories and this chance for folks to come together and share their stories.
Yeah, that's fantastic. And I have many friends who have varied backgrounds. Some who are Vietnamese and have come over first generation. Some from Kenya and other places. Tonight we have with us Dr. Washington, who has a story that she'd like to share about her background and history. I actually have very close friends who are from Ghana. Actually, the husband is from Ghana and his wife is Ghanaian, but she was born here. And actually the daughter actually had an opportunity to go over to Ghana over the last 2 weeks and to go and meet some of her family over there. So Dr. Washington, maybe you could share a little bit about your history with us.
Mm-hmm. First of all, let me thank you for having me. Mm-hmm. I consider it an honor. I think that a lot of history of the Black families have gotten lost in the history of Vienna. Mm-hmm. Within the Black community, it's a known fact that Vienna was one time 79% Black. I'd like to get that up front. And the way my family got here, my great-grandfather, who was from Ghana, he was brought here as a slave when he was 14 years old. They allowed him to mate with a young woman named Hannah, and from Hannah came John Monroe. They were on the Monroe plantation out in Fauquier County. Mm. And so John became a slave. He was born into slavery. Mm-hmm. And after slavery, he met a young woman whose name was Sarah Jane mm-hmm. Snowden. She was on the Snowden plantation mm-hmm. out in Fauquier County. And John and Sarah married, and Sarah was impregnated 16 times. She had one stillborn, and then they reared 15 children. And 4 of them died at a young age, but the rest of them they reared to manhood, and they scattered all over New Jersey, Pennsylvania, and what have you. John and Sarah, and I think that when you go online, you'll see they married 3 years after abolition of slavery. John was an ambitious young man. He never learned to read or write, and this was something that, of course, was normal during slavery time. And but Sarah, my grandmother, was a house slave. And so she was taught to read and write, and God in his infinite judgment saw to it that Sarah and John were together. They moved from Fauquier County once their family started to Chantilly, which is right up Route 50 here, and they stayed there for a while. John attended church in Chantilly, and he was one of the first deacons because he had founded the Chantilly Baptist Church. They went from Chantilly to the Centerville area, and then to the McLean, which was at that time Audrick's Corner, and from Audrick's Corner to Nutley Street in Vienna. That was in the early 1800s. And of course, that's where they settled. They had a bigger house. And on that land now on Nutley Street, they have townhouses. But my grandparents owned about 4 acres of land back there. And then they had apple trees and gardens and, I mean, just everything. And my grandfather, after slavery, of course, he not being educated or being able to read or write, he became an indentured servant. So that's how he made his living, working around the farms and what have you. But he was a very proud man, and he was determined that his children not only would be able to know what was from right and wrong, but they also taught about the loving and the kindness of God. And so this is what really kept them going, because the things that they went through in slavery, I think about it all the time. And I was just so interested in where my great-grandfather came from. I went to Ghana in 2006, and I saw what they went through when they were about to go from their homeland they would sell them they put them, and I went in where the women were, and the room that they were kept in wasn't as big as this, like from this pole to maybe there. But they would stack them in. There was a window at the top. It grieves me to think that they had to go through all of this. And some of the women were pregnant at the time, and they would have babies, and they would lay in whatever. And when the baby would die, they'd take them and throw them in the river. I stayed in that house, and I mean, everybody else was walking around. I just backed up against the wall, and I'm thinking, God, this is where my grandfather came from, and they went through all of this. And then not only did they go through it coming here, but once they got here, the things that they went through. But we were always taught, and my grandmother and grandfather taught my mother the goodness of God and how you love your enemies and how you should always never hate, because hate will really infest you and will do more harm to you than good. And this is how we were taught also. I can't tell it all, but
Go take your time.
it has been a real journey. It's been interesting. It's been a blessing to me because my mother was the third generation removed from Africa. And her mother told her stories that you would not believe that went on in slavery. And my mother told us, you know, what it was and like that. But she always taught us you never hate someone because you don't return to them what they do to you. And so we always, you know, we're in a Christian family. And when my grandparents, they lived and reared their children, like I said, on Nutley Street. Both of them died here in Vienna in the 30s. They were both gone. I was born in 37. Almost gave myself an extra year. I was born in 37. They died in 35 and 36. They are buried over on this Knoll. Is that Knoll Street? Where the
West End?
yeah, the West End, Lewis Street.
Okay.
They're both buried there in that cemetery on Lewis Street. My Taylor, they're buried there in that same cemetery because everybody was in Vienna. Everybody was in the Vienna area. So we all grew up, and no matter what or how bad it was, we were always thankful. I never knew a day of hunger. I never knew a day of not having a roof over my head. I never knew of being naked. And I never knew I was poor because we really didn't. And in Vienna, white people were not poor, were not rich either. I didn't know of any rich ones. They were all seen to be poor also. But the thing of it is, what we went through, or what my foreparents went through, was really something that people, you really can't believe that they would take people and do them the way they did. And so they went through a lot. It has made us stronger. It has made us wiser, and has given us the ability to love unconditional. And so to me, that was just beautiful. I was born and reared at 532 Orchard Street, 1937, in the back bedroom. That it has always been in the family, and I'm having it restored, and so it is historical. It's at 532 Orchard Street. I'll give a plug, and it's a beautiful land. My dad worked in government, and they purchased that half-acre lot for $50 from the Stotts, and so we are still here in Vienna. We've been here forever, and I pray that my children and grandchildren and great-grandchildren will continue to be in Vienna, that they will always have a place here, and to remember the history and how blessed we were to come from from people who God had just blessed so much that He gave them the strength, the joy. I tell people all the time, the joy of the Lord is your strength. And so He gave them joy, He gave them strength, and He gave them the attitude and the fortitude to struggle, even when struggles seemed like they could not be. And so I'm just proud to be a part of the Monroe family and the Taylor family.
That's fantastic. And the story that you're sharing reminds me of one of my favorite verses in Romans, where it says, as much as it depends on you, live peaceably with all.
Right.
And it sounds like your family exudes that that message and that truth.
Right.
And also just hearing you tell your story, I'll say briefly, last year I was able to go back to North Carolina, where my dad's family's from, and not as far back as you went to Ghana, but to actually be on the property where my grandmother was born. And just to kind of walk in those steps briefly, it does, make you think about what they went through.
Right.
And then for you to be over there and to be in the room where actually slaves were held, that's just such a powerful moment to experience that.
Yes. And I sometimes I think about, the things that they went through, and I wonder how in the world, did they make it? And they did. And to the point where they each, my grandfather and grandmother lived to be a ripe old age, and they died. And my mother was the third generation removed. And that makes me the fourth generation. And there's only two of us left. My mother came from a family of 14. And I have one first cousin on my mother's side, the Monroe side, and he is, and I'm, of course, the two of us. And then I have one first cousin on my father's side, and that's Gloria's aunt.
Wow.
Yes.
Well, and you talk about 14 or 16 children. Me and my wife, we have 8 children. And we think we have our hands full, 23 down to 4 years old. That's nothing compared to 14.
That's right.
I'm not going to tell my wife that tonight. But.
And then my father's mother and father had 10 children.
Wow.
And it was amazing because my mother and father had 10 children, and his mother and father had 5 boys and 5 girls, and my mother and father had 5 boys and 5 girls.
We have 4 boys and 4 girls. So.
Okay. Right. And so I'm the last one left. Sometimes I get a little lonely, but that's the way it is.
It is.
What a remarkable story.
It is. And so, and Jennifer, your family history is maybe a little bit different. Maybe tell us a little bit about, what your upbringing, your story, and how you,
My mom, she was born in Shanghai, China in 1937. They lived through the Japanese occupation, and then just before the Communist Revolution, the family fled, leaving her dad behind to Taiwan. While in Taiwan, she went to high school there and converted from Buddhist to Catholicism. And the Catholic community embraced their family and gave my mom a 4-year scholarship to come to the United States and study at the University of Ursuline College in Kentucky, Louisville. So she learned how to speak English with a Southern accent. She spent a lot of time watching TV to do that. And while she was there, she studied home ec. And graduated, and of course the thing to do was to go to New York City. She went to New York City, worked there as a junior accountant, also worked in the hotel industry. She met my dad at the World's Fair working one of the booths. My dad is a first generation American. His family immigrated from Switzerland through Ellis Island. So they met in New York City. They've been married for over 60 years. And they retired and moved to the Virginia area to be with my family and my sister's family. So they're now retired in Ashburn.
Wow, that's fantastic. And, I actually began to learn a little bit about some Asian culture and history, and when you talk about the interaction between like the Chinese and the Japanese and the Korean, and a lot of those different cultures, it is very fascinating to see and to kind of just learn some of those relationships and and interactions, and now I think that some of those relationships are growing, getting better. But there's talk about the Japanese.
Yeah, I mean, my best friend in elementary school was Japanese, and my mother was floored. Like, she was like, I can't, obviously,
right.
She didn't care anymore, but she would never have imagined that my best friend would be Japanese, because she saw Japanese come into her home, kill people, decapitate people. So very different. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's a very powerful story, and even think about now how in our culture there's so many different ways that we embrace Asian culture, Chinese culture, Taiwanese culture, Korean culture, and in my house, my kids they listen to K-pop and they and actually listen in Korean or different languages, and I'm like, I can't understand what they're saying, but apparently, and they're learning different languages, and so it's wonderful to see how these different cultures have impacted our culture to be able to understand better our friends and neighbors who are around us. So I really appreciate you taking time to
thanks for having
share
me.
your story
Thank you.
and to share yours as well. So I think at this point, as we talk about Liberty Amendments Month in a broader sense, and talking about how we're working together to ensure that life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness is something that's realized by all of us in a foundational ideal of our perfect union, I think that as we look at Liberty Amendments Month this year, and we celebrate the different cultures and these different histories that we're going to be highlighting this year, I just want to actually thank you, Lily, for your team coming up with this idea. I think every year we're doing something a little bit different, and this adds, I think, a little bit of a flavor to the Liberty Amendments Month, because truly these 4 amendments, they give us an opportunity for us to see our commonalities in our humanity, and the fact that although we're very different, but at the same time we have the same needs, the same wants, we have the same desires to have due process, citizenship, to vote, to for self-governance and all those things, and so I really appreciate your team taking the concept and doing what you've done with it.
Thank you. It's been an exciting thing to be a part of.
So Lily, as we kind of wrap up this evening, I know there are probably some websites and links and different ways that folks out there can learn more about Liberty Amendments Month, the activities, and what's going to happen this year.
Yeah, so before I recap the main website and the calendar, I'm just going to reiterate that folks can see the Our American Liberty stories displayed at the Vienna Community Center, and then here at the Freeman Store, also at a bunch of local businesses. I think we've had 10 sign up to display stories. Some of them will have 1 or 2 stories, some of them will have the full collection, and then it'll be on our website as well. So we hope folks will go there and you can read all of Jennifer's mom, Jackie's story, and all of Dolores' story there, and a whole lot of other stories from different people in the Vienna community. So that'll be exciting to see. Those will be up on Saturday. And then if folks are interested in other Liberty Amendments Month activities, again, we run June 17 to July 17. We have these lovely calendar books available at the Freeman Store, at Patrick Henry Library, also at the Community Center, of course, and Town Hall. So if you'd like to have a physical copy, you can pick those up here. But all the details are on our website, which is at viennava.gov/liberty. And all that information is available about all the lovely things that we talked about today. And we'll also link to all of our stories on the website there, along with a lot of really lovely family pictures. So it'll be a nice project to take a look through.
Well, wonderful. Thanks for sharing that. And as we just kind of close, I just want to remind everyone that as we heard these 2 examples of stories, there's a lot of pain in those stories, but there's also a hope in those stories as well. And there's the tension of standing up for the rights that we have, first of all, that created with dignity and worth and value, and then seeing the Constitution put that to paper and to codify it and to make it such that is written that we do have these values and that we're worth very much, and coupling that with forgiveness, being able to forgive, whether it's a culture, a person, a situation. I think that you have to have the forgiveness piece that goes along with, we do have rights, but also to have that forgiveness piece. Mm-hmm. And I think that makes us such a wonderful community. So thank you so much for taking time out this evening. And again, out there, if you want to learn more about it, I think we've mentioned some websites that you can go to look at more information about Liberty Amendments Month. So thank you so much for joining us this night, and we hope that everyone enjoys Liberty Amendments Month coming up here. Thanks a lot. Take care. And value, and then seeing the Constitution, put that to paper and to codify it and to make it such that it's written that we do have these values and that we're worth very much, and coupling that with forgiveness, being able to forgive, whether it's a culture, a person, a situation. I think that you have to have the forgiveness piece that goes along with, we do have rights, but also to have that forgiveness piece. Mm-hmm. And I think that makes us such a wonderful community. So thank you so much for taking time out this evening. And again, out there, if you want to learn more about it, I think we've mentioned some websites that you can go to look at more information about Liberty Amendments Month. So thank you so much for joining us this night, and we hope that everyone enjoys Liberty Amendments Month coming up here. Thanks a lot. Take care.